Hey guys, Edison here. I just got back my first bulk CGC return. Actually, not bulk. I don't know the term of it. I got back 8 key comic book issues from the Silver Age, and this is the first submission that I'm getting back of multiple comics, kind of key comics too. So I'm excited to open them up live. Go over the grades with you. All right, I got the box opened up, and I'm gonna pull out the first book. Here we have it. Let me try to go closer. I think the grade is on this side. You could see it's an Amazing Spider-Man number 41, released in October of 1966. I'll probably have B-roll going on at the same time, showing off the book and the issues on it. It is the first appearance of the Rhino. I think his full name is Alexi. I don't know how to say his last name, but this is a book that I saw that I really just like the cover of. The Rhino is obviously a pretty significant Spider-Man villain. Part of you see, there was really popular a couple years ago, like that meme of the Sinister Six. I think it was Electro, Craven, Rhino, and Green Goblin. I think it was those four. But just as a fairly early issue, not before this is Spider-Man's initial run, so this is the 41st issue of that run, and just to have a key first appearance of someone that I think is really cool, the Rhino. He might be coming back in the upcoming Spider-Man movie. Part of that, that idea comes from the fact that Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Andrew Garfield has the Rhino in at the very end, and I can kind of see that being a segue of bringing that character right back over. But it's really beat up. This one, I think, had water damage to it, just staining. It was creased. I did have it pressed to just try to get it a little bit flatter. But I guess I'll show off the grade now. 2.5. That's a pretty respectable grade. It is a little beat up, but what's nice to me, and this is something that I obviously grade a lot of cards with CGC, so I know how the CGC card holders are, and I love them. But CGC comic holders are just really nice, and I don't know if this is this is probably a very well established thing, but a comic book on its own is a little bit flimsy. It feels like it could fall apart at any point, especially if it's older. You throw it in one of these really nice clear slabs, and it just presents really well. But Spider-Man 41, and actually, I gave a real long explanation of that because the second book is the same exact thing. Another Amazing Spider-Man 41, first appearance of the Rhino. This one you can see, I'll probably just have B-roll going on. It's a lot cleaner of a copy. Let me take it out of the plastic. A lot cleaner. The biggest issue I noticed with this is it has, you can see on the top right, it has 5 cents written on it. And then on the bottom, I think this is bottom right, a piece fell out. That piece was kind of it was teetering on the edge. And after I had it pressed, it came back to me with that piece missing. I think it was just very brittle and kind of barely hanging on. But it's a really nice presenting copy. Definitely not as bad as the 2.5, but not enough of an improvement. It went up to a 3. To be honest, the 2.5 seems pretty fair, I think, for that copy. The 3 kind of feels a little bit low on this, but I could definitely see why it is a 3. And the other thing, too, is this one's really off-center. I hope you could see it in the B-roll, but just how it was cut at the manufacturing, you can kind of see the edge of the sheet on the bottom because, the color's just not there. But really cool. 2 copies of that. And I guess, let me try to find it in this box. The third copy, we have another one. The third copy of Amazing Spider-Man 41, first appearance of the Rhino. I don't know, what had happened when I purchased these was I was looking for books that I felt there was a little bit of a disconnect between the raw copies and the graded copies. A lot of comic books I just noticed were fairly optimized where raws were going for the price of graded. And then Spider-Man 41 was just one of those that I felt like there was a disconnect, so there would be some value in me grading it for myself. This one I picked up in an auction. I thought it was super clean, and it was clean based off of the grade, but sadly, it received a purple label. Purple label, if you don't know, for CGC means the comic book has some restoration on it. This one includes, says restoration is small amount of color touch-up on cover. So the thing with this book is you can just tell how many dark spots there are. The fact that there's all these dark boulders on it, And like the edge of the book is actually this black. The rhino suit's really dark. Like the comic itself presents really nice, but I could definitely see where someone could have went in with this is really. I'm just like I'm looking at how nice this copy actually is. A really high grade copy, nice. And the thing is, you can always make the case that like I should maybe get this book. You could always send this book in to get the restoration removed, but I don't actually think it's worth it that much. Oh, I guess I should reveal the grade too. It got a 6.5 with that restoration. It's a little rough. I know people have a stigma towards restored copies. They don't really like them. I'm not sure where the restoration is my only issue. I'm not sure if I can shine. You can shine like a black light on covers to find it. I'm not sure if I can do that through the case itself. And then the only issue that I noticed with the cover too is that very top portion, the top border, it looks like there's extra inking, like either extra inking, extra dye going through. But just a really nice looking copy of this book. So 3 copies of Amazing Spider-Man 41. And then the rest are going to be Batman-related books. Here we have Batman 189. Let me pull out the sleeve. This is the first Silver Age appearance of the Scarecrow. So it says right there on the label, first Silver Age appearance of the Scarecrow, who is Jonathan Crane. I'm guessing a lot of people who watch my channel are coming over from like trading card videos. So just like a brief explanation of that is a lot of the key Batman villains were created in the Golden Age in the 40s. Like for example, the Scarecrow is an early 40s villain from World's Finest Comics. And then, so what happened with a lot of these villains is around like the 50s, late 50s, they stopped producing comics with these characters in. The Batman series kind of went in a different direction, more sci-fi. A lot of new characters were introduced, especially because the TV show in the 60s. And just because a lot of these key characters kind of disappeared from being printed. Now, this book is just significant because there was a large gap in between issues. And I mean, there's a lot of good things going on for this. The fact that it's this beautiful cover of Scarecrow holding onto Batman's cape holding on his cape as Batman's about to fall off. The moon behind him, the scarecrows, the crows around him. It's just amazing. This is such an iconic piece of Batman history. To my knowledge, this is the story that really kind of cements Scarecrow going in that horror aspect. I don't think he leaned into using fear as much of a tactic. And when he's reintroduced, he really leans on the fact that I think this might be like the introduction of his fear toxin as well. But yeah, he really becomes that character that we know now as someone that uses fear to like manipulate and scare people into doing things. It's just really nice cover. It got a CGC 3.5. The big issue that I noticed with this one when I was sending it in is you kind of see it on the cover, right, especially on the Scarecrow's belly. Like it's a little bit of a darker, so you see those color breaks, but you really notice it on the back. There is a subscription crease, and what that means is when the book was handled, it was just folded in half. So that's kind of why you have this linear crease going right down the middle. But really nice grade, 3.5 for a Silver Age DC key is pretty good. And similar to those rhinos, I didn't just submit one of them. I submitted 2. Let's grab this one out. So we have another Batman 189. I should mention too, this is from February 1967. So it is kind of towards the later Silver Age. So that kind of like pushes the fact that there was such a long period in time before we saw the Scarecrow again. But it's a nice presenting copy. That one was a lot rougher with the subscription crease. There's no real issues on the spine. There are some color breaking ticks, but that's not that big of a deal, honestly. Color breaking ticks on a book of this age. It's very flat. I had it pressed. I'm just looking at the comic to see if I notice anything crazy bad. And then obviously just some tanning on the back cover. Well, I guess I'll show the grade. It got back a CGC 5.0. Really, really respectable grade in this type of a book. There are a couple things that I'm noticing in the case. This is like probably the worst portion. You can see on the back cover of the case, on the back cover, there's like a little piece of, I don't know what it is. It's like a piece of dust got trapped between the well that the comic is in and the CGC case. And at the same time too, it also looks like the book kind of got smushed in. and there is a little bit of fanning on the side with the spine. Oh, you can see the pages. But this is a good looking copy, and I mean it's pretty obvious. I mentioned it in my the first CGC comic book I got back. I'm just a huge Batman fan, and that's the main reason I was buying all these Batman Silver Age books, because they were pretty affordable. Speaking of Batman Silver Age books, here we have another classic one. This is Batman 155. This is the first Silver Age appearance of the Penguin. I really like this cover too because it has him on the cover itself, Penguin on the cover in that classic style. I like the dragon style. It's a little bit campy. I did read the story as well, and the dragon does like kind of take part of it. So it's Batman and Robin. They hear about the Penguin has come back to Gotham, and they go to investigate. I think it's like a Chinese temple, and they walk in. There's this giant dragon statue, and he like swings on behind it. So yeah, I mean it does definitely go into it. And I mean the cover itself says it, Return of the Penguin. It's just so cool to have something like this. And I mean obviously the first appearance of the Penguin himself, Golden Age. Not a lot of copies out there, really expensive. I think eventually my long-term goal for me as a collector is to go and collect all of the Golden Age Batman keys. But it's just so cool. Sorry, I get really carried away whenever I talk about comics. I kind of drift off. This 155 got a 4.0. It's from May 1963. And you can see it's noted on the label. There's tape on the cover. You can see the tape. It's in the top right-hand corner. And this one I purchased this on an eBay auction. Looked super clean when I got it in hand. What is a little interesting about this one is it actually shipped. The person selling it lives maybe 10 minutes away from me. And I was looking at his profile, and it turns out that he used to be like an artist for DC in the 70s and 80s. And he still has a lot of work for sale there. So I think he had picked this up while he was during his tenure there. But I mean, that's just a cool story to find someone that lives so close to me and was in the comics and worked for the company. Good slab. And the final two books are more DC keys. And I guess if you're coming over from trading cards, you might not even know what key is. A key is just like a key issue, a significant issue. And the next one are more first appearances. We'll start with this one because it's a little bit nicer looking. So it is Batman 181. This is the first appearance of Poison Ivy. Not in the Silver Age. Poison Ivy is one of those characters that first originated in the Silver Age, not in the Golden Age, which is really cool because if you just think about all the Batman villains I listed off, they're all from the 40s, more or less. So you could actually pick up. I consider one of the key Batman villains, Poison Ivy, really popular now because of the Harley Quinn TV show, where she's pretty much the co-star, or even like the star right next to Harley Quinn. But it's a really nice cover, Batman and Robin, that really nice red on it. Just Poison Ivy on the front cover. This copy was rough. You could just see how rough it is. All of the color breaking. It's super tough to get this in high grade just because that red cover really like it picks up when you have so much of the cover in these dark colors. It picks up all those creases, any break in color from being red too much or being bent a little bit. And then you'll notice as well, I'm sorry I'm like rambling so much. Notice as well it has a green label. This is considered a qualified label. This copy, 181, super common. In the center of the book, the centerfold is Batman pinup. It's Batman and Robin, so it's a poster. A lot of kids probably what happened in the 60s, they got their comic in, they ripped the poster out, hung it on their wall, so the copies floating around are missing that poster. That's what this one is missing, but it did get a 3.5 qualified. I think that's a really fair grade considering the condition with all of that color breaking on the cover. And the final book, I do a lot of duplicates when I buy stuff, saving the cards. It's another copy of Batman 181, first appearance of Poison Ivy. This one's a lot worse. So what I don't like about this one is how much the color has faded. You could see the Batman logo's faded. The reds have faded to like an orange. The back cover is really, really dirty. I think I have B-roll going on when I talk about this stuff. This one I estimated at probably like a 2.25. It was rough. It definitely isn't anything pretty. The spine is pretty messed up. You could see the staples are kind of eroding away. but this one actually came back a 3.0. I mentioned it in the previous video that I used GPA analysis. That's just like a paid program that lets you check the prices of comic book sales. So I'm just using them to pull recent sales data for these books. And I'm going to be looking at my computer screen off to the side. But we'll start with the Batman 181 and CGC 3.0, universal grade. The last sale for this book in this grade was $574. That is not cheap. That's cheap, I suppose. It's really pricey. And I mean, I personally am still surprised this got the 3.0, considering how much nicer the 3.5 I have just looks. Yeah, 3.0, last sale $574. Next up, we have the 181 in 3.5 qualified. This is one that I think is kind of undervalued. The last 3.5 qualified. So if you think about that, it's missing the poster, and then because of that, it's missing 2 pages on the other sides of the poster. So you're missing in total 4 pages, or yeah, you know what I mean. 2 pages or 4 pages considering the 2 sides of it. The last sale on the 3.5 was only $280. I think that's a great price, considering how common how common this book is without the pinup. I don't actually think picking up one up like for this price is a bad deal at all. Next up, we have Batman 155 for Silver Age Penguin. The last sale in a 4.0. This one kind of shocked me. Last sale in a 4.0 was $532. That's a lot of money for this book. I mean, that's a great sale. I'm really happy with that. Batman 189, the 5.0 for Silver Age Scarecrow. Last sale in a CGC 5.0 was $432. I know you can go off of like the averages of like the 2021 averages, but I just found that this was a lot easier because some of these books haven't sold too often. The main one is going to be that restored SpiderMan. And it just, to me, I feel like getting the last sale price for a book is pretty accurate, especially because a lot of this stuff sold within the past month or two. So it is pretty fresh data. Batman 189 in that CGC 3.5. Last sale was $309 for this book. Pretty good price. This is the restored Amazing Spider-Man 41 in a 6.5. I thought this book would be a lot cheaper because it's restored, but I actually found a copy, same exact grade, 6.5, same type of restoration, slight C1 with a color touch-up, or a small amount of color touch-up on cover, same exact grade, same exact type of restoration and level, sold for $600 a couple weeks ago. And this is probably because this is one of those books in high grade, it gets really expensive just because of how many dark colors there are on the cover. So $600 for the 6.5 restored. Next up, we have the 3.0 in the universal grade. The last sale for this in a 3.0 was $455, which that kind of shocks me because then we pull out the 2.5, right? The 2.5 in the same exact book. Last sale was $200. So that's a huge difference. I mean, for half a grade bump, we're talking $255 difference. So one of these sales in the 3 or the 2.5 was probably just an anomaly. So that's probably why using last sale data isn't that good, but it just made it a lot easier. So yeah, and then that's what each book was valued at, and then we could do the total. The total of, if I added up every single last sale, I get $3,400. That's how much the value of these comics would be, totaling up those sales. And then if I total up what I paid for the comics, including the refund that I got on the 181 that didn't have a pinup, I have spent $1,358 on the 8 comics you just saw. So pretty good. I mean, I'm like $2,000 ahead on these books than what I paid. And then if you include the CGC grading fee, it came out to $356. I don't remember what that was per book, but my total cost of books plus grading was $1,714. So even then, I've still more or less doubled my money on this submission, which is pretty good. I mean, obviously the goal when you grade anything, not the goal, but like obviously I would like to make money. At the end of the day, I would like to not even make money, but just know that I made a good financial decision. And then, so you notice I got all these duplicates. The main reason I did that is I obviously am a big Batman collector and I wanted to keep some versions for myself. So my idea was I'll just buy doubles or triples of every book that I want. And then hopefully I can make enough money selling one graded copy to cover my personal copy for free. And that more or less is what I proved to myself with this is I could sell one copy of each of these comics and I'll cover what I paid for all of them, and I could just build my collection more or less for free. Thanks for watching, and have a nice one, guys. Hope you enjoyed.